Hi.
Hi.
So today I'm interviewing my grandfather. I call him Dada, which is mom's dad.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be calling him, just like to clarify what that means. Okay, I'm just going to start. Where were you born?
I was born in a very small town called Carden in north of India, north of Mumbai
Mm-hmm.
in Gujarat.
What was it like where you were from?
Well, when I was born, it was, as I said, small town with no electricity.
Mm-hmm.
We cooked everything by fire, wood fire. It was cold in the winter, not like here, but it got about 35-40 degrees. And we sat around wood fire,
Uh-huh.
warming ourselves up. And during the summers, we'll sleep outside on cots.
Outside?
Many times outside. In the summer, it'll be hot, so we'll sleep outside because we had no electricity, no fans, no air conditioning,
Oh,
no
wow.
radio. So we entertained by singing ourselves.
So who did you live with in your household? That's with you.
My grandfather, which is my mom's father, my dada,
Mm-hmm.
my foi, my uncle, my mother's brother,
Mm-hmm.
and my mother's sister.
Mm-hmm. And can you explain what the term "fai" means?
Foi is father's sister.
What did your parents do?
My parents were away in the big city, Mumbai,
Mm-hmm.
to make a living. They were just starting off, so they didn't have much money. They couldn't afford a big enough place to have my sister and I both with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they left just with their parents.
Okay. And what did they do like in the city? Like for their jobs?
My mom was housewife,
Uh-huh.
but my father was working with people who were in chemical import-export business. They'll import chemicals that were used in industry,
Okay. Like,
in the laboratory chemicals.
was this just in India or was it like an international?
They will be importing from Germany and England,
Okay.
and they will be selling in India to the manufacturers of some goods.
So like you lived with like your siblings then instead of like not with your parents as much then since they were in Mumbai?
Well, I had no other siblings at the time. I had my sister.
Mm-hmm.
Then my other brother was born. He was with my parents for a while before we joined.
Mm-hmm.
I was 11 years old when I joined them in Mumbai.
Oh, okay.
In between, when I was 3 years old, I did live with them for 3 years when they were in Madras,
And,
in the south of India.
mm-hmm. What did they do there? Like,
It's the same kind of business. He was in with a different company. His boss sent him to Madras to develop business there.
that's cool.
So I remember living in Madras. I was 3 years old,
And you remember?
and I remember.
What was it like there? Like, was it a lot different?
I remember a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The things I remember in Madras was where I lived. I remember the building.
What was that like? Like, what
It was like a tenement system.
Mm-hmm.
We were on a second floor, small room, and I had a good friend. So the thing I remember is there was a road machine that compacts the road,
Mm-hmm.
the tar on the road, and that was working on the road in front of our building. So my friend and I went up on the terrace and we wanted to see the machine. So my friend tried to help me by pushing up,
Uh-huh.
and he pushed a little too hard and I fell out from second floor onto the ground.
Did you get hurt?
Well, must have passed out because the street sellers, hawkers, they saw me fall and they didn't even wait to see who I was. They just grabbed me and ran to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
and people were screaming, somebody fell. My mom didn't know who it was me or my friend. She ran and sent somebody to tell my dad that Satish might have fallen, but they didn't know. They come to the hospital, they find out that it was I who fell, but no blood.
Anything broken or?
No, I don't know. Nothing was broken. I think my brain probably moved. That's why I'm not that smart anymore.
You are still very smart, so I don't think that happened. So aside from falling off terraces, what else did you do for fun when you were younger than with your siblings or friends?
Oh, at that age, I was just playing in the chow system. Can't remember the games. I remember a habit every morning of wanting to have idli. And my mom told me that I had to have whatever bowl she gave me. I had to have a full bowl idli. So she bought a special bowl, small bowl for me. And she'll give me 2 pennies. And I'll walk across the street to the restaurant and they'll give me 1 idli. And I'll come home and sit on the steps and eat. The other thing I remember, they had a gold chain I was wearing. And once I came back and the lady who was giving me a bath said to my mom, his chain is gone. So my mom asked me, what happened? So I gave her a few pennies that I had gotten and I said, Bham karine lega, meaning just pulled and took away and gave me this money. So I lost gold chain.
So somebody took it?
Yeah,
They just came and take it?
just took it. I was playing and they just gave me money and took it away. So I wouldn't scream. So I wasn't that smart.
So you got mugged when you were little?
I got mugged.
Oh no.
Those were good memories. Good, not necessarily fun, but I was too little. I didn't know.
What kind of education or like schooling did you have before, like when you were in India still?
Well, I went through school when I was in Patan, and as I said, we had no electricity, so we were learning, doing our homework, reading under lanterns, kerosene lanterns. And then when I came to Mumbai, of course, it was all different. We had electricity, we had music. The first year, they put me in government school, which are not that great.
Is that like public school?
Public school, but they are not that great in India. So second year, or middle of the first year, I don't remember, they took me to private school, which was #1 school in Mumbai, TAPS.
Really?
And the principal would not give me admission because he said, you came from a small town and you're going to public school, you won't succeed in this school. This is the hardest school you can find. But my father was very persistent. He said, give him a try. 6 months, if he doesn't do well, throw him out. So I got admission and I was doing fine. I had no trouble.
That's good. Were you like top of your class or around?
It took me a year to get to the top of the class in some of the subjects. My math was always excellent. My English at the time, which was a second language, had not developed that good. But after first year, it got better. I loved chemistry, so no problem there.
You really proved them wrong there.
Well, yeah, it was a good school, and I got through high school with all A grades.
So I was going to ask like what kind of student you were, but I guess you're very studious.
I was a studious person, yeah. I would get up like 3 o'clock in the morning to study. My mom would get up with me and make sure that I was awake. And we had only we lived in a 11 foot by 11 foot room.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was in that room, kitchen, a little sink. So we could not sleep and study in the same room in the middle of the night. So it was a tenement building once again in Mumbai.
Uh-huh.
So I would go at the top of the stair, and we lived on the 5th floor. And we had a small light. So I would sit at the top of the stair and read.
Wow.
And because nobody slept there. Either people slept in the room, few people that could, the rest of them would sleep in the terrace.
So, did you know people that lived up on the terrace? Like, I mean, I know your neighbors if you lived in the same
Well,
building,
the
but...
whole building, people will come early, like just before it got dark. They'll come up on the terrace with their sleeping bags or mattresses and reserve the spots. From 6th floor of the all 6 floors, people will come up.
Oh,
And
okay.
will reserve the spot. The terrace will be full of people. So it was not a living like here, all comfort.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt that way. I felt happy.
Oh, that's good then. Like, how did you, like, what form of transportation did you use, like, to get to school and stuff like that?
I walked most of the times. Even though we had trolley system and the bus system, my parents will give me money to use the trolley,
Mm-hmm.
but I hardly took the trolley. I would walk to save the money.
Oh, okay. How far was it? Like, how much of a walk?
It would have been like 1.5 2 miles.
That's kind of far.
Well, you get used to it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
I enjoyed walking and saved the money.
Mm-hmm. Like, did you have any jobs in India before you came?
No. My dad would ask me to go at his shop in the summer, and I would get bored, so I wouldn't go.
Okay.
I would go a
That's
couple
good.
days and I would say, no, I'm not coming. It didn't matter.
What would you do? Like, what would he have you do there?
Try to type letters, because he was in import business.
Mm-hmm.
So he would ask me to type letters to England or Germany. It was not to help him, but it was more to help me
With your English?
with my English and typing.
Mm-hmm.
In those days, typing was the only way. We had no computers, of course.
Yeah.
So typing was pretty critical, and shorthand. He made me take shorthand lessons.
So can you, like, do you still know how to use shorthand?
Not anymore.
Mm.
I used to, but not anymore.
Have you always had you always wanted to be an engineer?
No, after high school, I got an admission into a science college,
Mm-hmm.
called Science College, which is, you can go there for 4 years and get your bachelor's in science, or you can go there for 2 years and then transfer into engineering college or medical college.
Mm-hmm.
So first I thought I was going to become a doctor, because I thought my parents wanted me to be a doctor. But then during the second year of my college, my father said, "You sure you want to be a doctor?" I said, "Yeah, I want to be a doctor." And he kept telling me about engineering, how good that is. So I thought he wants me to be an engineer, so I changed my mind. So then I applied for engineering colleges.
So was that like the main reason why, or did you have an interest in it before when you thought they wanted you to be a doctor?
I wanted to be a doctor or engineer, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
That was for sure. But actually in my college, when we had to cut frogs, that bothered me. The experiment cutting the frog open and seeing the heart of the frog pulse, and I could stand that.
So that's when you realized.
So I said, okay, listen to my dad, go into engineering. But later on in the years, I found that he really wanted me to be a doctor. He was just making sure I was sure to be a doctor, but it came out opposite.
I mean, at least you were happy doing what you were doing, right?
I
Not
was.
having to see any beating hearts.
That's true, that's true. I mean, I probably would have gotten used to it and think of saving lives, but
Mhm.
I've enjoyed my profession.
That's always important.
Yeah.
Was the only reason you came to America to go to grad school, or were there other reasons that you were coming?
No, I wanted to go to the grad school, but it was more my dad. When my dad was young, his parents had died, and he was growing up with his uncle. And when he was in the final year of his high school, his uncle told him that this is the end of the line for him. His uncle could not afford to support him through college.
Mm-hmm.
He had to get a job or earn money, whatever. So he could not go to college, and he wanted to go to England for education. That was his dream.
Really?
It was his dream. So he wanted to see his dream come true through me.
Was that what you had wanted, or was that just more of his dream than yours?
I mean, everybody in India in those days had dreams of going to a foreign country. But knowing our financial situation, I wanted to work in India and earn some money to support my brothers and sisters. But my father would not let me. He applied to the colleges for me. He made me fill out forms. He actually sent away letters to get the forms. He made me fill out the forms. We mailed the forms. And when we got admissions, he insisted I make a decision.
Like, where else did you apply? So.
We applied at 4 or 5 colleges.
Mm-hmm.
I got admission because we were late.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated in May, and the semester here starts in September.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't start getting forms until after that.
Oh, okay. So, were there, like, did that limit your options a lot?
That limited my options. So 2 colleges responded. One was Kansas State,
Uh-huh.
gave me admission, and the other one was Yale. Yale gave me admission. But they said they have no scholarship available this year because I was late. They said if you wait a year, you'll get some scholarship. But my dad said, no, you're not waiting.
Oh, really?
I said, okay, fine. So he said, which college do you want to go to? I said, Kansas.
And so then what happened?
Well, yeah, my dad was very persistent, I think I told you that.
Mm-hmm.
He would not tell me what I should do, but he'll keep asking me why. Every step of the way through my whole life. Even if I made a mistake in doing math problem, and then I got it right, he would not say, good, you got it right. He said, why did you get it wrong first time? Keep insisting to think about why I made a mistake. So this was the same thing. Why? Why Kansas? Why not Yale? I said, I don't know. Kansas. But I knew the tuition. Tuition was much cheaper at Kansas.
Oh, so that was why you...
That was why I chose Kansas. But I wouldn't tell him that. And he knew Yale was better.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took me to people. He searched out people that have gone to Yale and come back, or to other named colleges and came back to India. So when we visited those people, and when they heard the story, they said I was nuts not to go to Yale. I had to go to Yale.
So?
So there it was, I ended up at Yale.
What was the application process like for attending Yale? Like, you know, you said you applied late, but, and like the forms, but what kind of stuff did you have to do for it?
Basically, just filling out the forms. I'm not sure I had an essay to write,
Mm-hmm.
but giving all the information about myself and my interests, education, and it was a short process, not a long drawn out process.
Oh, so like, it's changed a lot clearly then? From...
Yeah, unless they have certain seats reserved for foreign students. And I'm sure there is no shortage of people applying, but I just must have been lucky
Mm-hmm.
to get the admission.
Do you think it like made a difference that you were a foreign student that you had gotten in? Or was it just like...
Well, I don't know how they compared my education to the American students' education. They must have a way of comparing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know after I came here, I found all my courses to be very easy.
Really?
You know, my friends in math, they were struggling. And I give that credit to not my smartness, but my professors in India.
Mm-hmm.
They really prepared me. You know, you won't believe this. In college, engineering college, my math professor, he warned us day one, when I come into the class, everybody has to be seated at their desk with pencils in their hand. And if I see anybody talking, they can leave the class.
Wow, that's really strict.
He was strict, but he got our attention and we learned a lot. After the first week, we loved him. He was strict, but we loved him. He said, if you just want admission, the attendance, they used to take attendance. He said, I'll say you are present, but you have to leave if you're talking. But I'll say you're present, I don't care. But if you want education, you come and sit and pay attention.
Wow.
And everybody was great in math.
And so clearly that
That helped me here. It helped me a lot.
would you say that was he like your favorite professor then in school?
He was.
The most.
I mean, there were others too, they were all good professors. It was the first year of that engineering college. We were the first batch.
Mm-hmm.
So we were treated very well by all the professors. And even the town we were in, the engineering college was in a small city.
Mm-hmm.
And we were from a big city. So we ruled the city.
I'm sure you did. What was most memorable about college? I know I'm going back from Yale to this, but what was most memorable about being there?
Well, the studies were always good. We enjoyed the studies. But as I said, we were 14 students from Mumbai, the big city. And everywhere we went, we were treated very well because we were from big city.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a restaurant, we got the best seats. The waiters treated us well. Go to a movie theater, and nobody said anything to us. Well, no, we bought tickets, of course, but we would sing together while the movie is going on.
So you abused that a little bit, that power you had.
Usually, yes. And we had bicycles. That's the only mode of transportation.
Mm-hmm.
There were no buses in that city. So everywhere we went, we were on our bicycles. We rode 70 miles once on a bike.
To go where?
There's a famous place that you should look up, Ajanta Caves. They're world known.
Really?
They are caves carved out of a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
They kept carving and they have beautiful figurines. And they use the organic paints to paint the colors. And they're still there today. They are hundreds of years old. And we went on our bike to see those.
Wow, that must have been beautiful.
They are beautiful. And next time we go to India, that's our trip.
Okay. What do you do there? Do you just go and see them and hang out
We
there?
just saw them. We stayed overnight. It's the first time I ever tasted a canned food. Somebody brought canned peas. Never saw them in my life before. Didn't know I could eat them. But we were camping out in the open.
That sounds amazing.
It was fun. We were young. We were 19, 20 years old.
Wow. What year was that?
That was my final year of college. I was 20 years old.
Wow, that was so long ago. Not calling you old, of course, but so when you came to America, what was starting your new life here? Because
It was adventure, exciting, and a little bit worrisome. I did not know anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I came to New Haven, where Yale is, got into YMCA, which my father had booked a room for me,
Mm-hmm.
and went to a Yale international student to get some help to find apartment. But I did not know what to eat. I did not know anything about American food. But I had brought some food from India, the dry fruits that I could, so I lived off of that.
Uh-huh.
And then over the next few days, I found an apartment in the attic of a house. Old landlady who had trouble walking, but she gave me a room. Cost me $10 a week.
That's a lot, isn't it? Or was that not?
Not $40 a month, which wasn't bad. I got the apartment, she gave me toast in the morning, tea, and use of her kitchen. So I had to use her kitchen after she was done. Or I had to use her bathroom. I didn't have my own. I had half a bath, but I did not have a shower.
Oh, okay.
I was in the attic. So
How did you make money for rent? Like, did you have money that you brought, or did you get a job?
my dad would send me from India. So I would just, and I wasn't eating out. I didn't know what to eat, and I was conserving any funds I had to buy books or whatever I needed to do. But eating, I found a corner grocery store, tiny stores near the apartment. And I asked the guy I wanted rice, so he gave me a small packet of rice. I said, oh, okay. I asked for salt, and he gave me little tiny containers of salt. I didn't know. I said, that's how it must go. So I had to use more than one container every day. And I got some potatoes. So my meals were boiled potatoes and boiled rice every day with a little salt and black pepper.
Every day? Like the same thing?
Every day, same thing. I did not know what else to eat because I didn't know what else I could get.
So when did you start, like, eating different?
Well, after the college started, I came across a couple of Indian friends. Well, they became my friends. And one day they invited me to their apartment to eat. And I was so amazed what they gave me. They had rice, of course, but they gave me black-eyed bean soup, spiced up.
Yeah.
And I said, where did you get this? They showed me the black-eyed bean can. Boy, my world changed after that.
After learning about canned foods?
Well, black-eyed beans and chickpeas canned. Those two, those became my standards with my rice after that. Not every day, still, because it would be expensive. But I started eating that.
So what was it like when you're actually in college then? So you made a few friends with them?
I made a few Indian friends and I made some American friends because they lived next door in the next building and they liked to study with me. They would not let me go to bed even if I finished my homework because they wanted my help to finish the homework.
I feel like I remember you telling us about this once, about how they would always ask you for help.
Yeah, they would turn the TV on because I had not seen TV in India. So they'll turn the TV on to keep me interested. They'll make fried rice for me.
Really?
One of the guys was a Jewish guy, but he came from Thailand.
Is that the one you showed me a
Mike
picture of?
Gershon, yeah, Mike. And he would make spicy fried rice for me so that I would not go home to my apartment.
Bribery.
And I loved it. Yeah. So that was fine with me. Those were good days. I enjoyed my college days here.
What else did you do, like, aside from studying and stuff? Was there anything else you guys would do for fun? Or?
Only once I went with them to a restaurant. They introduced me to grilled cheese sandwich.
Amazing. What did you think?
Oh, it was delicious. I got introduced to grilled cheese. I didn't eat it that often, but I started seeing there's more to the American food than just meat that I saw. And chicken, which being a vegetarian, that's why I did not go to a restaurant. I didn't know what to order. I think I saw one movie in the first year I was here.
Like at a theater?
At a theater.
What did you see?
I think it was movie, Tom Jones was the actor in there. I forget the name of the movie, but it was fine.
So did you see it with your friends? Like, is that what?
Yes, yeah. Yep. But my first winter was rough.
Oh yeah, because you've never seen anything like that there.
Never
like in
seen
India.
and didn't know how cold it can get. I had bought a jacket from here,
Uh-huh.
but wasn't warm enough. I froze.
So what did you end up doing? Like, did you
Well,
have
just
to
put
get
extra
used to it?
sweaters on and all that. Couldn't buy any more clothes because I was conserving funds.
Mm-hmm.
But I was young, so you can sustain the cold a little bit.
Uh-huh. So then after that, did you like learn your lesson and have a little bit more prepared? Or were you a little more
Well,
prepared, do you think?
Get extra sweaters on, yeah. Extra socks on because my shoes were not made for it either.
Uh-huh.
But that was true of most of the Indians coming first year.
Mm-hmm.
You learn, like I said, it was adventure. It was experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun. When I look back, those were fun days. Just like my childhood days. We lived in a small apartment or tenement room,
Mm-hmm.
but I never thought of them as being unhappy days. I was always happy.
That's awesome that you have memories like that where it's all good.
Yeah, what was important was the love of the family,
Mm-hmm.
not the toys that we get today.
Yeah. How often did you go back then to visit your family?
Every 4 years and then every 6 years, every 4 to 6 years.
Oh wow. So
In
that's
those days, the flights were very expensive.
like,
Today they are much cheaper. Even the phone calls, it would cost me $4 a minute. It was
That's-
3 minutes minimum, so it was $12 minimum. And after that, it's $4 every minute. So I did not call India unless it was critical. I don't think I called until after I came back after marriage and my eldest daughter was born, to give them the news.
Uh-huh. Oh, so was your marriage to Chucky arranged? Or was
It was arranged. I went back to India after my first coming here. 4 years later, I went to India. I took 2 months stay in India.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I took 3 months vacation. 1 month I traveled through Europe and then Asia, Japan, Hong Kong, then Hawaii, but 2 months in India. So I met the girls that they introduced me to and finally decided, got married, got the application to bring my wife with me.
Mm-hmm.
Everything said fit well.
What was the process like? Like, aside from just like having them line up and meeting them, but what was that like? I can't imagine.
Well, you get to hear about the proposed person
Mhm.
through your parents or your aunt who is coming. And then you meet, the girls will come with their parents or their aunts and uncles, whoever, through whoever this proposal had come, they'll come.
Uh-huh.
And you talk a little bit in the open, then they leave you alone for a few minutes,
Mhm.
and you don't know what to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sure it must have been.
And then basically we say goodbye and you decide. So I met, I think, 4 or 5 girls before I decided on one.
How long did it take for you guys to actually get married after you decided? Like, what was that?
Well, since I was here for a very short time, and it took some time to meet the girls and decide, and then I had to have enough time to do all the paperwork to bring my wife to be with me to USA.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were married in 2 or 3 weeks after we met.
That was fast.
That was fast because we had to leave time to prepare
Mm-hmm.
for her to travel, get her passport,
Mm-hmm.
and get her American visa or green card or whatever.
Yeah.
So that all took a lot of time. So we had only 2 or 3 weeks to get married.
So what was the wedding like then? If it was like, was it very small, or what, did
Wedding
you have
was
a normal?
not small. It was, I mean, by American standard, it was not small.
Mhm.
And it was the first wedding in my family. It wasn't elaborate, but still it was a nice wedding.
Mhm. That's nice.
All the close relatives were there.
Uh-huh.
Friends were there. My friends that had come back from USA, they came from Delhi and Madras to attend the wedding.
Like the Indian friends?
They were Indian friends. They had graduated from Yale.
Uh-huh.
They had come back to India permanently, and they came to the wedding. So it
That's
was
very
nice.
nice.
Yeah. And my college friends that I knew when I was in India, they came to the wedding also.
That's very nice. So you can like get back with all of these people. Where were we? So you were telling me about in India how like your wedding and then how your friends had come to it. So was that like all about that, or did you have more you wanted to talk about it at the wedding?
No, the wedding was fun. I guess the thing about me is I'm like my dad,
Mhm.
and I follow Gandhi.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm sure everybody knows Gandhi.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But simple life. You know, he
Mhm.
was always very simple. He didn't own much. I own a lot of stuff. I'm not like Gandhi, but I liked his principles, and my dad followed Gandhi. So, even though I was earning good money here, I'd worked for 3 years, I went back to India, and I knew that a lot of Indian students, after they graduate from here and they have a job, they come back to India and they would act like they're big shots.
Just because they had come from America and made
They've
money.
come from America and they had money,
Mhm.
and I did not follow that. I lived a very simple life even when I went back,
Mhm.
and my parents appreciated that. The relatives
Sure.
couldn't believe that I could still live a simple life. So at the wedding, I went with Indian costume.
Mhm.
Uh, I wore this cap,
Uh-huh.
which is, I'm sure people might have seen it. Nehru wear it, my dad used to wear it.
Mhm.
And I wore this with Indian long shirt and loincloth to the wedding.
Surprised everybody.
Surprised everybody. My wife-to-be, she was waiting and she was shocked to see me. And she was ashamed in front of her cousins that her husband-to-be looks like this, not American.
Really? She was ashamed?
Well, she thought that here's an American groom she picked,
Mhm.
and he doesn't look like an American in a suit and a tie. So it was shocking to a lot of people, but I enjoyed the wedding.
That's good then that you were able to go back and not be like an outsider to your like.
Yeah, I wanted to set an example that
Uh-huh.
money is not everything. You have your culture. You gotta live your culture.
Mhm.
You can live other people's culture, but don't forget your own culture. That's very critical.
That is very important. So like going more into that, like how has like, so religion obviously is very big in our culture. So how has that and like Gandhi's influence on your life influenced the way that you've lived? Like whether it was.
Yeah, I was not going to temple every day, and that's not required in the religion we follow,
Mhm.
Vaishnav. But we have God at home and in our heart.
Mhm.
You don't have to go to temple actually. And you know we have God at our house.
Yeah.
We worship every morning.
Mhm.
I do, and you do, and your mom does. He's part of the family. And
Mhm.
that's how I was brought up. My mom was very religious, and I saw her do seva, we call it, a puja, every morning. And the God is treated as your child.
Mhm.
It's not somebody to fear of, somebody to love. you don't fear God, you love God.
Mhm.
And so she would worship God every morning. She'll make food and offer the food to God. And that's what we will eat.
Mhm.
You don't, I mean, now I eat outside food, but my mom and my wife now, she eats only the food that she offers to God. What God eats, they ate. And we were given the same food.
Mhm.
So it was out of love. That's what we believed in. God is our part, is in our heart.
Mhm.
And still today, as I get older, like everybody, even in America also, people as they get older, they fear God more. They go to church more maybe.
Mhm.
But in our culture, we don't fear God, we love God. And of course I worship more because I'm retired, I have more time. But I always loved God. I would not leave a house, even in India, without bowing to the God. When I got up, I bowed to God. When I left the house, I bowed to God. When I came back, I bowed to God. That was in our culture.
Mhm. And even now, in this next room, you probably can't see it in the frame, but we have our mandir in my house where we have our setup with God. And that's where Seva's performed. Can you talk about what Seva was?
Well,
Like, can you
Seva
just go into it?
basically, in Hindu religion, you probably know there's a lot of gods. Uh, and it's not that religion is fractured, but Hindu religion is you worship nature, you worship rivers, you worship animals, you worship everything you worship. And we worship different forms of God. It's one God, but it takes different forms. Krishna, which people might have heard of Krishna,
Mhm. Probably.
in Gita, the Hindu religious book, he says that whenever there is the load on the earth, which is the sin, increases so much that earth gets overburdened, I shall take birth on earth. So the way I look at it is it's not just Krishna, but it's Christ, it's Buddha, it's Mahavir, all the gods that you can think of. They came on earth because there was a need. People needed God to solve the issues. There were a lot of sins, people were being punished, and God took birth under different form.
Mhm.
And that's how the different religions are formed, why you worship one God as against the other. But in my mind, all gods are same, but it's different path you take. It's like you want to come to Washington, you can fly down to Washington, you can take a train, you can take a bus, you can drive on New Jersey Turnpike, you can take Route 1. These are all different paths, whatever path you like. So same thing with religion. It's one God, you worship Krishna, you worship Christ, you worship, you take issue, Muslim religion, it's all the same. So I believe in that, but I've chosen the path that I was born in, and my God is in the form of a child,
Mhm.
which is easier to love. When Krishna was a child, Krishna, he did miracles, and we worship Krishna because it's easy to love a child.
Mhm.
When Krishna grew up, he went to war, helped take sides for good reasons, but we love Krishna as a child.
Mhm.
So he's like a child to us.
So that's like, I mean, I know you're talking about just now how that was a big part of your life. So that's like, would you say that that's one of the most significant things that like, or aspects of your like identity that's made you who you are?
Yes.
Your faith.
Yes, the faith is loving every human being as a Vaishnava. And Vaishnava is a gopi. Krishna, he used to play games with gopis, dance with gopis. And gopis followed him, they loved him. And all the Vaishnavas are gopis. Gopis is a female form, but the males are also gopis. And I love that concept, that we are gopis following Krishna. And Krishna's follower, his wife or lover, was Radha. And he doesn't marry her, but he says later in his life that he never separated from Radha, even though he had not seen her after he was age 13. But he says, she was in my heart. How can I be away from her? So he was always with Radha.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a picture of Gopi, one of the gopis, and it's a painting.
I think you can see this. Ooh. Okay.
This is a painting, my uncle gave it to me when I was coming to this country, where the gopi is picking out a thorn that was in her foot. So that's one of the paintings that one of my grandson has reserved for himself.
Sagar?
I think it's Rohan. I have two
Rohan
paintings, two beautiful paintings, and one is Sagar, one is Rohan.
Really?
Yeah. Since they were little.
Sagar is my cousin, my mom's sister's son, and then Rohan is my brother, just to clarify. So going back, I never asked you about this before then, but so work after you graduated from Yale, what was that like? Like I'm switching gears a little bit.
Work was a lot of fun. I enjoyed challenging work.
Mm-hmm.
So I got work pretty immediately. I was offered jobs in New York City in big firms.
Wow.
And when I was interviewed, they told me, oh, this will be your desk and you'll be working on bridge columns or bridge piers. You'll be expert on bridge piers. And I said, just bridge piers? They said, oh yeah, you'll be expert. But then I got a job offer in Connecticut, in New Haven. And they told me that I'll be working on these buildings. So I accepted that job because I wasn't going to work on the whole project.
Mm-hmm.
The money was less, but I saw benefit of being part of the whole project and not just a bridge pier. I did not want to be an expert in one part of a building or project. So I took job in small firm.
So then, that's awesome that you're like, that you can turn down. I guess that's continuing what you were saying before about how money isn't everything. So how do you think that experience then like helped you for
The whole
for
life,
here?
I would never find anything better. I mean, that job, I was there for only 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I designed one project, and then they had me on another project where we were going to build a lot of bridges, design bridges. But that process took a long time. Acquiring land, the government acquired land. We had to do survey, we had to go to the committees to present our design, a lot of paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not like that process. I did not like politics or paperwork. So then I found another job, which became my permanent job.
Mm-hmm.
But there I worked part-time at night for a few weeks.
Like the other job,
The second job. I went there and I told them I can work part-time. I just wanted to get a sense of what that job would be like. I did not want to go into the same kind of jobs that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it so much that in 2 weeks I told them I'm ready to come. And I've never regretted. I was there for the rest of my career.
And that was in DC, or did you end
No,
up
no,
moving
that was in
locations?
New Haven. That was in New Haven, Connecticut. And from there, after so many years, I became a partner and we opened a DC office,
Mhm.
Washington DC office, and I moved to Washington to handle that office. I came to DC in 1983 permanently.
Mhm.
Before that, I was commuting for 5 years. We did 2 projects in DC, and I was commuting from New Haven to DC every week. While my kids were growing up, and I was missing out on that.
Mhm.
So in '83, I said, okay, I'm moving to DC.
And then that's where you stayed? Well.
That's where I stayed in DC because
Mhm.
that was my office. I was running that office, and I never regretted that job.
That's awesome.
Lots of challenging projects. You know, one of the projects you probably wouldn't know, but you know St. Louis Arch.
Yeah.
Inside they have tracks to take you up to the top of the arch.
Uh-huh.
There's a train capsule that takes you up. I designed that inside.
Really?
That was my job. I was a young engineer, probably didn't know what I was doing. My boss asked me to do certain things, I did them, but I kept doing it. And once it was built, it was successful, and I still take pride in it. So that was one of
You
my
should.
jobs.
That's amazing. Wow.
So those are the kind of jobs that I got to do.
Mhm.
I'm not sure. I mean, here I did a couple of projects in New Jersey, but they're not well known.
Like what? What were some of them?
One of the Drew University,
Uh-huh.
you know Drew University?
Yeah.
I did a building at Drew University.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So you did stuff like all over then, or was it just like in the few states on these?
I did
things?
your house,
I know that. Yeah.
but no, I did Drew University, and I did a couple of other projects I don't remember now
Mm.
in New Jersey. My firm was, because my boss was Dean of Yale Architecture School, so he was known in the architecture world.
Oh wow. So-
And a lot of architects came to him with hard projects, difficult projects. We were known as engineers for difficult projects. For easy projects, they went to other place. This is what my clients told me. They would say, Satish, we know you're good. We have to pay more fee for you. But if it's a tough job, we'll come to you. If it's easy job, we'll hire somebody else.
That's a great reputation to have.
Yeah, so we got known for hard jobs, but I enjoyed that. Well, you know, Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. at Dulles Airport. I did that one.
Did you?
Air and Space Museum at Dulles.
Wow.
You might look up at internet my company's site, and the building is there.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Mm.
What changes? So you've been here for a while now, like in America. What changes have you seen in like American society then? That.
Oh, the American society basically has changed, like everybody else has noticed. The technology has changed a lot. The engineering we used to do on a slide rule, the slide rules are antique now. We do it all on computers.
What was that before this?
A slide rule.
What is
You know,
that?
It's a piece of, I should have brought it. It looks like a big wide ruler
Uh-huh.
and has in the middle thing that slides out. And you move it, there's a lot of numbers with a different scale. And you can multiply and divide big, huge numbers on it by just setting them. It's based on logarithm. Do you know logarithms?
Yeah.
It's based on log system. And we used to do all the calculations on those slide rules.
Wow.
You have to remember the decimal points if you're doing those things. And that's, and, you know, multiplications, divisions, everything on slide rules.
So technology would make that much easier, I'm assuming.
A lot easier. First came little calculators.
Uh-huh.
$500 calculator. All it did was multiply, divide, add, and subtract. That's all it did.
$500 for that?
Yes.
Wow.
The first calculator we got in my office was rechargeable battery. It was $500. But it was amazing. I didn't have to do that slide rule. But I didn't have much trouble doing slide rule. A lot of people had trouble doing slide rule. Math in India is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Multiplications, I could do them in my head just like that.
Wow.
Because in the Indian system, you had to learn up to 30 times. 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times. Up to 30 times 20. All the way in your head. And not just the whole numbers, but quarter, half, 3/4, 1 1/4, up to 2 1/2. You have to do it by hand, in your head. So any number you give me, 5 times 2 1/2 is 7 1/2, which is easy. But we had to know all that by heart. Because we didn't have calculators. And that made math so much easy for me, even when I came here. I would sit with my boss and I did my calculations in my head, rough number, and I'll come up with some answer for him. I said, it's roughly 525. It wasn't the smartness, it was the education that I got.
Uh-huh. So again,
So again, the things change.
Mm-hmm.
You guys probably can't do those multiplications.
Definitely not.
Yeah, in old days, even when American engineers had to use slide rule, they were quicker. I'm not saying it's a better system, because with the computers, you're learning other things more, which we didn't have to learn. The things have changed. So that's the change I'm talking about. Not that people were smarter, just the system has changed.
Yeah, like now, I'm sure that like any of us would be able to do that multiplication with like a pen and a paper, but we just are so used to having the calculator there for
No
that.
need.
So like, yeah.
But you have to learn other things that we did not have to learn at the time, because things have changed. There are new things on the market to learn.
Do you think all this change has been like more for the better or for worse?
Well, if you use the technology right way, it's for the better. But we know the technology is not always used in the right way. You guys have so much free time at hand that you spend more time playing games. Communication is great. Communication with your friends or doing homework with your friends, that's great. But then people are constantly engrossed in playing games or music. And that's not there. You don't have feedback with your friends, going out and playing out in your front yard. Not happening much. We had no radio when I was growing up. We used to play outside all the time. I lived on 4th floor in a 6-story building. We'll be going up and down 30, 40 times a day in that 6-story building. Our health was so much better. And we did not have rich food. Things are different. Today you have spas and gyms. So you use those to stay in shape. But your interaction with friends is more on electronics.
Yeah.
And it's good, but I still think face-to-face is a lot better. You can see the emotions of people. When somebody needed a hug, you're there. So yes, it's better, but we're missing out on things. That's my feeling.
That is true. And then what influence have you seen, like what Indian influence have you seen on like American or English culture?
Oh gosh.
Like,
Well, for one, I would say the Americans, Indians have learned a lot from Americans, naturally. Indians work hard, but Americans work smart. So we've learned a lot that way, how to make things simple, how to have the machinery can do things for you. We've learned that a lot. Even Indian cooking, is influence. The American machines can do a lot of things that my mom used to blend the dals or now the machines do it. So definitely there is influence. Americans have learned a lot from Indians. The way Asian culture, the yoga is Indian. You know, how to control your mind, get peace. The American life is a stressful life. They're always running, always doing stuff to make money or compete, which is stressful. But the yoga and Tai Chi is Indian, yoga is Indian, and it become mainstream American exercise. There's a lot of Indian words that have gone into the English dictionary.
And I think you have.
I have some examples saved and a few words that might be helpful.
This is a newspaper from January 30th, 1992, India Globe. If you wanted to point out some of the words, or like.
Well, I don't know which words that people are into, but like Aya. Aya is used, it's Indian made, but here it's used in America pretty, or bangles, the bangli that you wear. Bangles is an Indian word. Cashmere, the wool, is Indian word. I don't know if you want to get the translation where it comes from, but cash, the money, cash, is Sanskrit word for karsha. In Tamil is kasu. Tamil is a South Indian language. It's kasu, and cash comes from that. Candy, originally from Sanskrit, called khanda. Khanda is sugar. You probably have heard khand. Sugar is khand, khandla.
Yeah.
Khanda, candy.
That's insane. I like never knew that.
The word, it's probably not in here, but I tell people orange came from Indian word.
I think it is in here actually.
You saw that?
Before. Maybe even, is it on here? Orange right there.
Yeah, and orange, in India it's naranga, or narangi we call it in Gujarati, narangi. British guy came to India and he wrote his friend that he had a fruit called an orange. You know, orange, and in front, an orange. The British friend didn't know that an and orange were two separate words. He thought an narangi. He wrote an narangi. A narangi. He read an orange. A narangi. He wrote a narangi, and the friend wrote an orange. I messed up. An orange. So orange is Indian word. Pajamas. In Hindi, we have a word pajama. Pai is legs, pai, and jama is garment. Pai jama. That's an Indian word.
Like even words like lemon or shawl, like all of that.
Pandit, naturally. Learned person. Mantra. Mantra. You know, we say mantra, mantra bol.
Yeah.
So mantra is Indian word. Maharishi. Maharishi. Maha is great and Rishi is sage. Rishi. Maharishi. The jungle is Indian word.
Jungle.
Desert forest. Jangala. So there's 3 pages full of Indian words in here. And I would not go through all of them, but you are welcome to have a copy of it if your teacher or students ever want to see the list.
I'm going to put this aside. And since we're on this, we can start going into maybe some of the other things that you had brought.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to talk about this?
It's a childhood memory. When I was very young, probably 8, 9 years old. I lived with my uncle, as I told you, in a small town, and he used to play flute, Indian flute. And I picked up from him, no lessons, but just fooling around with it, and I used to play. Then when I came to Mumbai, I was 12, 13 years old, and I had a few friends, and they played different instruments. There is a harmonium, which looks like accordion. One friend used to play that, another friend used to play a string instrument, one friend used to play tabla, and I played flute, so we made a little group. And we used to play Indian movie songs. And I don't know if we were good, but at least people invited us to play.
You must have been great.
Well, or maybe they were encouraging us, I don't know what it was, but we enjoyed playing flute. And after that I used to play once in a while, but it has been 30 years since I played.
Do you think you still know how to play?
I don't know if I can play anything. It's not coming out right. No, it's going two tones. I won't try. I'm a little shy. Camera shy. So I would not play. Maybe
Well,
after the camera I'll play for you.
okay, well thank you for that little clip of that. I'm just going to bring this over and you can explain things. This
Oh
one.
my gosh. My first year of my job. Now, mind you, in India we had no bowling at the time. And the first year I got the job, somebody asked me, "Do you want to bowl?" I said, "What is that?" "Oh, it's a game." And I always like games. He said, "You throw a ball." I said, "Sure." So they took me to the bowling alley, and there's all these people. And they said, "Okay, you're going to bowl." And I said, "What?" He says, "Oh, we have teams. You're in a league." So here's my team in 1968, 1969. This was a few years I was bowling. I had gotten better. But after a few months when I broke 100, the whole bowling alley cheered for me. And that was my first American game I played. After that I played baseball also.
You did?
I played baseball, never played football, but played baseball.
Did you play on a team or just for fun?
We had a small team, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But didn't play that much. I played cricket in this country too.
Really?
I was on a Yale cricket team. And we
Wow.
went to Harvard to play. But
I'm wearing my
I didn't play
Harvard shirt,
long. But yeah, that's a good memory of playing bowling. That's why I teach you sometimes when we
Oh
go.
yeah, he still beats me every time we go. Let's see. Talk about him.
Well, this is Mike Gerson, I told you.
Yeah.
He was from Thailand. He would make me fried rice and would let me go home. So I would help him with his homework. And he would come there.
Here, I can bring this picture up. So that's the picture of his schoolmate.
You know, the story behind this is, I asked him, he was going back to Thailand, and I said, when I come to India, I'll come visit Thailand, and if I want to see you, can I have your address? He says, sure. All you do is take a cab and tell the cab, take me to Gerson house. I said, that's it? He said, yeah, just take me to Gerson house. And sure enough, 4 years later when I got married, I came through Thailand. I stayed in a hotel and I told the cab driver I want to go to Gerson house, and he took me to his house.
Wow.
So he was that well known. His father was a contractor, and the king of Thailand had him build everything government projects.
Wow.
And that's what he went back for. He was doing that.
That's very cool.
I should have gotten a job in Thailand through him. I would have lived like a king.
And these two pictures?
Oh, these two pictures. When I was in India, I wrote to get a pen pal. So I could write, and I had a pen pal from Denmark.
What was her name?
Ilse Madsen. And I visited her on my first trip back to India. I stopped in Copenhagen,
Really?
and they came to pick me up, her and her parents, and insisted I stay at their house. I was there 2 nights.
That's so nice of them. So
Yeah.
that's like, was that the only time you ever met her after?
Yeah, I never went back to Denmark after that, and they never came here.
Well, that's very nice that you got to like correspond with her. And
Yeah, and I had a good time. She took me to college bars. I got to see the local living, how the college students lived in their bars, and went to a movie all spoken in Danish language.
And then this picture?
This was taken outside our apartments. That's Mike Gerson and his future wife, Ruthie. And he was the only one that had a car at the time. So
Very fancy.
it took us around. Yeah.
So that's the picture, and then the car. And then
Oh, this one is my childhood friend, Kaushik. If you remember, he came here last year. We used to compete when I was in high school. But he was not a good student. He would get into mischiefs. He would run away from home. And after meeting me, he got into competition to study with me. He couldn't keep up, but at least he tried. And to date, he still credits me of turning his life around.
that's amazing.
And he's a lot more religious than me, very hardworking. But he still looks at me as if it's best friend, even though we live so far away and we don't see each other once every 8-10 years. Kaushik. Now you remember him when he visited?
Yeah, he stayed here
Last
for a
year.
few days. I remember that.
Yeah. These pictures won't show up too good, will it?
Okay, so we have ones on the computer. I can.
Yeah. Yeah, you can plug them in and talk about it.
And then this.
Oh, this is a good memory of 3 years of my engineering college. And this, as I said, this was the first graduating class from that college. Actually, they celebrated 50 years of their college just recently.
Really?
A lot of the students that had come here, they went back, and students that they lived in India, they also went back. They all got together. I did not go back because we went to India that year to attend a wedding later on in the year, so I didn't want to go twice that year.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
So I missed out on that one, but in the middle in dark suit is my principal. He's my principal. And rest of them are students. And I'm in the second row in the back.
Jewish, and then I'll point you out. So this is a picture, and at the top it says the school, and then this is him right here.
Yeah, they were good memories.
And then who is this?
That's my father-in-law.
So,
As simple as my dad was. very straightforward, honest, hardworking. As my wife tells me, at one point he had 3 jobs to support the family.
Wow.
When I got married to my wife, I think he had only 1 job at that time, finally.
Mhm.
But he never expected anything from his daughter. But I would take stuff for them, and he would take them, but in turn he would give us money.
That's very nice of him. So it was very like giving. And
Well, the typical Indian culture is you don't take from your daughter's house. Now, I'm different. I take from my daughters. But he believed in that. His son, Mukesh Mama, he does not eat at your house if he comes here.
Really?
Or he'll give money. Yeah.
I didn't
My
know
dad
this.
would not eat at my sister's houses, or he'll give money.
Wow.
Over the years it changed,
Mhm.
because
Sure.
it was not easy to follow that. But in the past that was a custom. You did not go to your sister's house and eat there.
Wow.
And he followed that. He would give money.
Mhm.
And I didn't know why he was giving me so much money. Years later,
Oh, so you didn't know about the?
well, it just, the daughter's husband comes, so you give him money.
Mhm.
And even though I would refuse, they insisted I take the money. But
Also, did you want to talk about what those pictures were from?
these were from ages past. That's Chucky, Anju Dabi.
Mhm.
Before we got married, she was young and she liked to be dressed up and act like a model or movie actresses. So she went to studio and had these pictures taken.
I'm sure. And where did the name, where did we start calling her Chucky from?
Oh, when
Let me start the pictures. Okay.
when your brother Rohan and Sagar, they were young, they would come to our house and we had this decoration hanging with birds on it. They were made of clay and they were colorful. I still have them. I can take a picture and send them. And to entertain them, your Dabi, Chucky, will take them and say, look at this, Chucky, Chucky. The birds were, Chuckli is an Indian word.
Mhm.
So sparrow is called Chuckli. And so she'll say, look, Chucky, Chucky, Chucky. And after that, they'll just, if they wanted to visit Dabi, they'll say, we want to go to Chucky's house, we want to see Chucky. So it stuck till to date. What, 16 years now?
Yeah, I guess. And then this house?
Oh, that's the first house I bought after Masi was born,
Mhm.
your mom's sister. We bought in Madison, Connecticut, along the beach. The house is still in our family, even though I moved from Connecticut. And that's where your mom was born. Not in that house, but in the hospital, and
Yeah.
came to that house. That's got good memories, and now it's with my brother. So we
Mhm.
still visit there.
Yeah, so even now there's plenty of good memories. I wasn't born at the time of this, of course, but even now we still have such good memories just because there's still so much family there. So here. Those are pictures. I don't know how good the lighting is.
Yeah, the old pictures are not that great a picture, but
Oh,
good
yeah, it's a
memories.
great chart. Okay, so I'm going to stop this here, and then I'm going to go onto the computer, record the computer screen.
Oh, this is the picture when we went on picnic. My father's sisters, are sitting there cooking in those big pots. I think the main dish is called khichdi. It's a rice and pulses. And then, of course, you have a curry, potato and eggplant curry. But this is typical sitting on floor and cooking on the pots. I don't know what era this picture is from. They're my parents. My dad, you can see a simple white long Indian shirt, and my mom, of course, in sari, but not that much embellishment, no jewelry. My dad did not like anything, no ring, no watch, nothing. But they are very young, so I don't know, they must be before I got married or soon after. My mom was 16 when she got married. This is my dad's shop. You see the cap I showed before. He's wearing that cap and the long shirt and a dhoti, a loincloth we call it. And this was his shop. Behind is the servant standing there who would go and arrange chemicals. This is a shop where he sold chemicals out of. That's my dad in later years. I think this was taken in the United States when he visited us. I don't know if I look like him, but that's my dad, yes. This is during Raksha Bandhan. You know what Raksha Bandhan is, but for people who don't know, once a year, sister ties a string on the wrist of her brother, meaning that she is asking her brother out of love to protect her. And after that, she feeds him a piece of sweet, and then brother gives her a token gift. My dad used to give 1 rupee, equivalent to $1 maybe, not quite. But his sisters would always be crying, getting money from him. That's my mom and her sisters. They're sitting there chatting about the world and doing the wedgies on the floor. On the newspaper are wedgies, and in the pan, stainless steel pan, are wedgies. So they'll all come and chat and give each other a hand, reminiscing of old days or new days, complaining about the kids maybe.
Probably.
That's a picture that I received in recent past of Mahatma Gandhi after he was shot. I saw him at one of the lectures when I was young, but of course I didn't see him at this stage. But he was the person that I followed as my guru, if you will. So I appreciated being able to see this picture. This picture is just before I left to come to US for my further studies. In this picture is my Masi, which is my mom's sister, and her husband. And they have given me a garland which is made up of dry fruits, almonds and pistachios and cashews and candies, which I did not eat. I wanted to preserve those. Of course, years later, they fell apart, so I had to throw them away. That's a picture of the same era, but with my parents and my father's sisters. All 4 sisters along the 4 edges, and my father and my mother next to me before I left from India. And that's me with the garland and bag in my hand that my mama, my mother's brother, gave me. I came by ship actually from Bombay to Italy. And then from Italy to England, I took a train. And then from London to USA, I had a flight. This was in 1963, so there was a fear of flying. Flying was still young. My dad wanted me to take a ship as much as possible, but there was no choice but to fly the last leg of the journey. Oh, those pictures are from when I was at Yale. The picture on the right, doing my homework or studying in my apartment. It was in the attic. You can't tell from this picture it was in the attic, but it was in the attic. And on the left is, I'm sure it was on the graduation day. I had a suit on. Otherwise, there was no occasion to wear a suit. So before the graduation, somebody took my picture for me. Now, these are pictures from my wedding day. On the left, standing is my aunt, and handing me, I think Coconut is my sister. She's 15 years younger to me. And I'm wearing flower garlands. Probably very expensive here, but it's very common in India. So on the right, I'm holding Coconut in my hand, which is auspicious, with the garland, ready to leave our apartment building to go to the hall. Okay. This is in our 3-room condo, which we still have. This is a back room. We call it bedroom, but it's not really a bedroom because we slept in every room, basically. This is during one of my visits back home. I'm on the right and my brother on the left, and we both had to shave to go someplace in a hurry, so here we go, standing back to back and doing our shaving, also making a little comedy scene out of it. But the clothes were dried, as you can see on the left side, hung on a window screen. There were strings hung at the ceiling also, which you can't see in this picture. All the clothes were hung to dry in the house. This is during one of our visits. My daughter Rupa, that's Raina's mom, giving a head massage to my dad. Putting hair oil in the hair is very common. Helps your brain, actually, cools your head down. And I think I'm going to get a massage today. So my daughter is giving a hair massage to her grandpa.
Tail malish, right?
Tail malish. We call it malish, tail malish. And everybody in our family loves that, to get a malish. Typical dinner at our condo. This is the middle room. You saw the last room earlier where we were shaving. It's the middle room, sitting on a floor with the stainless steel utensils, the dishes and bowls. And on the right is probably my sister-in-law. She's serving us. And my dad is in his t-shirt, undershirt. My brother is next to him. On the other side, the striped shirt is my brother-in-law, my wife's brother. And of course, the niece is sitting around. This is a back room, again, now converted to a packing room. My daughter sitting on the right in black hair. My older daughter. She was coming back from India, so my mom in the middle and my brother in the back, they are all helping sort things out and pack the bags. And every square inch is used up. The 3 comedians. Gandhi used to have statues of 3 monkeys in the similar pose. So when I visited my sister in Chicago, we got onto the roof to do some repair work. And we thought this to be a great pose. I'm sitting in the middle. In white shirt is my younger brother, my youngest brother. And in greenish blue is my brother-in-law. And the pose is basically monkeys saying, I've got my hands on my mouth, meaning I won't say anything naughty or won't insult anybody. My brother with his hands on his eyes saying, I don't want to see anything bad. And my brother-in-law saying, I don't want to hear anything bad.